Hey, good morning. Welcome to Midweek Mixtape.
Good morning.
We're going to get started in just a second or two. We're waiting for some of our other platforms to come online.
Yep. Hey, while we're waiting, we'd love to hear where you're tuning in from this morning.
Yeah, we're going to hang out for just a second.
Yep.
Got some people in London. Got some local folks tuning in from Charlotte.
Hey,
That's
Charlotte.
amazing.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. So excited to be with you all today.
Yep.
Somebody in Zimbabwe. That's
Goodness.
crazy. Good morning. Good morning from Charlotte. Hey, we're going to go ahead and get started. I know people are still going to be logging on. But my name is Jordan. This is my lovely wife, Danielle Hicks. And we get to serve as two of our pastors at our Ballantyne location here in South Charlotte. I've been on staff a little over 3 years, and Danny is closing in on 5 years on staff. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we love getting to serve and lead together. In fact, Jordan and I, we got set up while we were here at the church. And, you know, it's funny when you're dating, I feel like people always say opposites attract. And it's kind of what makes you cute when you're dating. But then when you get married, it's still so cute, right?
Sometimes less cute. Sometimes
all
less
those
cute, but it's
differences.
still cute.
We thought we'd share 3 ways that we're opposite with you this morning. So the first is that Jordan loves anything outdoors.
I do.
No matter what it is outside, camping, hiking, whatever. I, on the other hand, I'm allergic to everything outside.
That's actually a fact.
It's true, pollen, whatever. And I don't know, camping, like the idea of paying to sleep on the ground, I don't get it.
It's an adventure. It's an experience.
It's crazy.
Anyways, number 2 reason we're opposite, the way we do laundry. So I'm real simple, throw it all together, cold, wash and dry, done. Whereas Danny is like, I need every load separated by texture, temperature, color, fabric
and
count.
Hang everything
Who knows? It's
up.
ridiculous.
I'm getting more flexible.
You
now.
are, and I'm getting better. I'm getting better at
yeah.
my laundry.
So for me, I don't like any type of movie that's not like based in reality. So Lord of the Rings, Star Wars,
Harry Potter, Shrek,
The Hobbit.
She's never seen a single Star Wars.
Yeah, poor me.
It's pretty ridiculous.
I don't have that kind of time.
Anyways, so 3 things that opposites attract about us. But let's go ahead and jump in. Welcome to Midweek Mixtape. So basically, we are in the middle of our series, Bars and Battles. We just completed part 6 this past weekend. It was an incredible weekend in church. And this Wednesday morning at Midweek Mixtape, we're trying to give you just a little bit of download, a little bit of practical application, things we're taking away from the sermon. And Psalm 37:23 was really the anchor scripture for this sermon this week. And it's a real simple verse. It says, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way."
Yeah, and Pastor talked about, as we look at the life of David, sometimes it can seem like his path sort of took him further away from his calling or from his destiny. And Pastor talked about this tension that we can feel like when God's promised us something, maybe it's a specific calling or a job or being a husband or a wife, whatever, and we can experience this gap, this sort of distance before we actually get to the thing that we believe God's promised to us.
That's right. Excuse me. And one of the other things Pastor was talking about this weekend is that, man, sometimes it's so hard to hear God's voice. We want to hear it as clearly as David heard it at certain points in the Bible, but the reality is we don't always know and we can't always discern God's will. But one of the things he said that I thought was really freeing was that, man, when we order our life and actually live and walk in God's ways, then we can begin to know and discern God's will. It was an incredible weekend in church. Danielle, I would love to hear from you. We're a couple days out from the sermon. We've heard the sermon a couple different times. What's been one thing that's just kind of like stirring inside of you that you've been thinking about that you kind of can't get out of your head?
The picture I can't get out of my head is where a pastor was on the steps at the front of our stage in the auditorium, and he was talking about taking a single step forward. And I feel like for me, I'm strategic brain, so sometimes I can want to think 3, 4, 5 steps ahead, which is awesome in my job sometimes, but in life it can be somewhat paralyzing because I feel like I can be in a current season, but I can be looking ahead to what's next and what's after that and how all those pieces sort of fit together. But I feel like as Pastor talked about focusing on that very next thing, it helped me because an example is I feel like when you're single, you think about when you're married, what life looks like. And then when you're married, people start asking you pretty much immediately, when are you having kids and when are you buying a house? There's always something next that we can look to. And so for me, it's like the struggle's always been the same. The subject changes over time, but it's staying in the current season that I feel like I'm in.
That's great. So not thinking too far ahead. And I know it's just been a couple of days from the weekend, but practically speaking, what's one of the things that you can do to actually say, no, I'm gonna be present. I'm gonna be content. I'm gonna be focused on where I'm at something practical that maybe people could start doing.
Yeah, one thing that Pastor said was, he said submission brings peace. And man, that's convicting for me, because I feel like sometimes if I feel a lack of peace, or I feel like I'm anxious or worried about what's to come, I think it's because it's a good sign that I'm probably in that moment, I'm having trouble submitting to what God wants. And I think that maybe I can work things out on my own. So I think it's really looking for that peace through submission.
That's great. Sure. I think practically speaking for me, one of the things that was convicting was almost kind of an aside that Pastor mentioned in the sermon, but he said sometimes there's tension or there's conflict in our marriage because we get things out of order. And I felt immediately convicted in the moment, because I think times as a husband that I falter or fall short are because I get things out of order. And even this past weekend, I was convicted of a specific situation. We're going to get real this morning with y'all, but many of you know this past weekend, Hurricane Irma came through much of Florida and the southeast. Which, by the way, we're praying for you if we're in the path of Irma. Or still powers out. Of you. Much of Danny's family lives in Florida, and there was this moment on Friday night where I was concerned about Danny's family. We had been in contact with them, but it was at this moment that we're sitting in bed, trying to relax, trying to hang out, and Danny was like a little bit glued to her cell phone, glued to the radar. And in the moment, I felt myself getting like frustrated and kind of annoyed because I just wanted to connect with her. But instead, because I got things out of order and because I was selfish and I was a little bit prideful and a little bit focused on what I want, I think I missed the opportunity to really actually like care for you well and prioritize that. So I think that was one of the biggest things for me. Yeah, but I struggle with that too. It's so easy, whether it's in marriage or relationships or friendships, whatever, that we can want to put ourselves first. Tell me, so what's the thing? Is there something that you tell yourself to sort of work through that in the moment? It's not so much like something I tell myself as much as trying to get into practice of just trying to create space in my mornings. So I'm not always perfect at this. It's not a 10 out of 10. But I think the days that I feel like I do order things right and I do prioritize things right, it starts from a place of I've created a window to actually sit down and think about, okay, what are the relationships, what are the things I'm focusing on, and how do I give my best weight and my best mental energy to those things. So whether it's our marriage, whether it's a project at work, and this doesn't apply just in marriage. It doesn't matter if you're single. We all have multiple demands, relationship demands, work demands. But I think trying to consistently create a practice of open space where you can just take some time to breathe, hear from God, what's He speaking to you, and how do you order and prioritize things, I think can make a world of difference. Yeah, I love that. That's so big, putting things in the right order. I love how Pastor talked about that. It was really helpful. And so I don't know where you're at today. Maybe you're sitting at the kitchen table having a cup of coffee. Maybe you're getting the kids ready for school, or maybe you're driving and you're on the way to work this morning. But we just want to remind you that, one, we talked about getting things in order, just taking some space, some moments to sort of breathe and put those priorities in order for your day and for your week. And then I want you to know that your steps are ordered. We looked at Psalm 37 where it says our steps are ordered. In fact, I don't know where you are right now, but will you say it out loud with me? Just say, my steps are ordered. Oh, my steps are ordered. Yeah, my steps are ordered. My steps are ordered. And so understanding, just like with that picture of the steps that I mentioned, that we're taking it one step at a time, that God doesn't expect us to look at the next 3 or 4 steps of obedience, but simply to move forward in faithfulness with what He's telling us that's next. Even just verbalizing that phrase, you kind of feel like confidence rising. You kind of feel faith rising. Yeah. So know today that your steps are ordered. Thank you so much for joining us today on Midweek Mixtape. Hey, just a couple quick things, just quick reminders. It is Wednesday night. If you're in the Charlotte area, we've got 5 locations here in Charlotte that have midweek experiences. So if you missed out this weekend, or maybe you want a double dose of church, you can get to University City, Concord, Blakeney, Matthews, Uptown, North Charlotte, South Charlotte, Heart of Charlotte. We've got a midweek experience right near you. And then the second thing is, hey, we'd encourage you to jump online, elevationchurch.org/online, rewatch the sermon from this past weekend, and really begin to internalize and process how you can apply the teaching from the weekend to your everyday life. Yep, we've loved being with you. We'll see you at church. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great week. Have a great day.